Hello again, everyone. It's great to be back here with all of you guys today. We have the last of our presentations within the computational linguistics month, and today I want to introduce you all to Matilde Barbini, who will be presenting for us today. Hopefully, we're going to have a lovely session again tonight. Now, who is Matilde Barbini? I would like to just shortly explain to you all. She holds a bachelor's degree in ancient literature from the University of Florence. She completed her thesis under the title Being as True and Non-Being as False in Aristotle's Metaphysics E4. She then continued her studies at the University of Siena, focusing on linguistics and delving into topics such as psycholinguistics, social linguistics, language acquisition, corpus linguistics, and particularly computational linguistics. In 2021, she successfully completed her master's thesis titled Disadvantages of an Automatic Parsing of Italian Phonological Productions, an Investigation of the Speech in Primary Progressive Aphasia, and earning her master's degree in Language and Mind, Linguistics, and Cognitive Sciences Studies. That's a mouthful, sorry. It's not something I'm good at memorizing, so reading off. Thank you so much for being here, Matilde. Seriously, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
I know everyone watching now and everyone who will be watching over YouTube are going to be very happy. And it's over to you. Let's listen to you.
Okay. So, hi, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here tonight. And I'll just start by sharing a little bit my screen. So give me a moment. Okay, so just a moment. Okay, so I don't know if actually I can share the full screen from here. But anyway. Okay, so you guys are seeing the presentation even if I don't share full screen, or is this a problem?
Yeah, it's totally clear.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I'm Matilde Barbini. I'm a linguist. I was born and raised in Florence, which maybe you know, maybe not, but it's a quite famous city in Tuscany. And I'm a linguist, as just said, specialized in computational linguistics, which, as you guys probably know, being at the end of this workshop and in general being, I think, most of you linguists, sits basically at the interaction between linguistics and computer science, basically focusing on enabling machines to process and understand human language, we can say in general. So currently, I'm working in both the academic and actually industry domain, as I'm working as a prompt engineer for a quite big company in Italy, which is called Team System. You can check it out if you want. And then I'm also working as a research fellow in computational linguistics at the University of Pavia, the University of Superior Studies, which is called IUS in Pavia. Pavia is quite a small city next to Milan, I could say 20 minutes from Milan. So just to set the expectations, what can you expect from this talk? I'm not going to delve on a specific topic, on a specific theory of computational linguistics. I think that these workshops are really great because they can bridge together people from different backgrounds that can talk to you a little bit about the world outside your master's, your bachelor's, your academic studies, and what is happening out there for also from the employment point of view, the work point of view. So I would just like to probably give you an introduction of my background and the role, or better saying, roles that a linguist and especially a computational linguist can do in academia and outside academia. So for this reason, I would also like really to have your questions at the end of the presentations. If you can give me your opinion on how you see yourself in your studies and even after your studies in these actually rapidly changing times for linguistics. It's nice time to be a linguist, I think, but we'll talk about it a little bit more in the end. So why I thought that I was the right person to talk to you about this, about how linguists can place themselves in between these two different worlds, the academic one and the industry one. Basically, recent developments made it clear that computational linguists and linguists in general have unique transversal skills that are a key in both academia and industry. And linguists can actually bridge the gap between these two worlds. Now, we all know that our field is very rich in theory. Maybe you saw it from your own exams, from the magnitude of your books and so on, really deep in theory, but also really practical in its application. So today we'll talk a little bit about our skills, how our skills are increasingly sought after in industry, the contributions that we can make, and exciting opportunities. So just to start, give me a moment. Okay. So to start, the role of linguists in academia. So traditionally, linguists have been deeply involved in research, developing theories, testing those theories, and teaching these theories. We delve into syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. You know more than me about that. We explore how humans structures and understand language, and also how language structure humans' brains. It's in the way I see it, it's both way, and in the way I think we all see it. And historically, we have to say that these efforts, especially in past times, often remain confined within the confines of academia. Let's say limiting their practical impact. However, this deep theoretical understanding that we as linguists have is the very foundation that is needed to solve like real life complex problems about language. And in computational linguistics, these theories actually become the basis for building practical solutions and oftentimes enable machines to understand language accurately. We can think about voice assistants, machine translation tools, you name it. So with the recent advancement in AI, machine learning, and NLP, advancements that actually are quite recent. I'm thinking about for example, the paper that went out in 2017, Attention is All You Need, that like made explode this like large world of transformers and new technologies that we as computational linguists can actually employ, develop, and exploit actually. So with these recent advancements in this domain, the impact of computational linguists has become more evident than ever. So given the recent developments, the good news is that there has probably never been a better time to be a linguist and to be a computational linguist. In particular, to be a linguist that wants to move out of academia, actually. So our knowledge of language is increasingly in demand, particularly in AI application, natural language processing, and conversational agents. And the industry actually needs us to design interactions that feels natural, intuitive, and most importantly, human-like. And we can, for example, build systems that can analyze vast data sets of human language and contributing to technological advancements that were like unimaginable a few years ago. For example, I'm thinking about the time I finished my master, which was in 2021. I was totally unaware of the fact that just 1 year later, GPT was gonna come out and how this would have changed. I have a lot of friends that are often telling me, you were really intuitive, you were great going into this field. I was just lucky because I did what I liked, and like from one day to the next, it became very popular. So that's the thing. We were quite lucky. Now our expertise, it's really important, and we can ensure that our study, our domain can actually be applied to these very large technologies, because these technologies are actually, in a way, quite generical. If you think about LLMs, large language models, they need to be tailored. They need to be tailored to specific contexts with specific language for specific users. So this is where us as computational linguists come in the real industry world. So, for example, in industry, you have quite a different roles that computational linguists can take on. For example, NLP engineer, you know it, UX researcher, AI consultant, you name it. There are a lot of them. And we use our expertise to help, in this case, AI models understand language nuances, ensuring that technology responds appropriately in critical contexts. And you can see how this is crucial. For example, just think about the fact that these large language models are going to be applied, and are actually today are starting to be applied in very critical domains, for example, the medical one or the legal one. Now, just to tell you a little bit about myself. In my own journey, I transitioned from an academic setting to roles actually focusing on applying language expertise in artificial intelligence projects. Now, you could say that this is something that I often say about myself. I'm an expert, but only in switching fields. In particular, as just said, I did my bachelor in ancient literature, then my master in linguistics. And for my thesis, I specialized in computational linguistics, working actually on an automatic clusterization of pathological language. And that actually, from this, I obtained a research fellowship on a very similar topic, working on the automatic clustering of aphasic speech. And I also, from that, got another research fellowship. And basically, I switched between two very complex domains. So starting from the medical one, then I moved to the legal one, and I worked on the entity extraction and topic modeling of legal rulings. So you can see how you need to be a true linguist to work with this kind of complex text. And but obviously, I was in academia. I was doing my academia cursus honorum. But I also became interested in the outside world, outside of academia. As I think every one of us, even the most academic focus-minded you just wonder what's outside this world. Can I only research, teach, or can I do something different? So I was lucky enough to get first job as prompt engineer at a startup in Switzerland. Now, in particular, in this case, we were building LLM-powered agents, in particular agents that were supposed to be a support of online meeting. And actually, in this startup, we were just three at the beginning: the CEO, me, and a machine learning engineer. Now, this meant that I was able to see everything from the idea starting the project, arriving to the UX design, that's the interface that the user was going to interact with and was going to see, and so on. So I definitely learned a lot. And as just a piece of advice I can give you, if you are at the beginning of your career and you're thinking of working outside of academia, think about joining a startup if you can. It's really the place in which you can get your hands dirty and do the real work, do everything from start to finish. It's really great to learn. And then I also worked as prompt engineer and computational linguist for another company in Belgium. And then I moved to do the same role for another company in Italy, which is my current employee. So now I talked a lot about prompt engineering. I don't know if everybody knows what is it. I think so, but just to give you a few words. So prompt engineering is basically the practice of designing and crafting the inputs for the LLMs, the instructions for the LLMs. And so these instructions are given to the model to guide the response of the model effectively. For example, it involves formulating clear, concise, and contextually aware instructions to get the best answers you can from these models. In particular, in this case, I would like to suggest you to think about this career path, because we as linguists, as computational linguists, we have a unique advantage in this case, because our linguistic knowledge means that we have an ability to ask the right questions and to provide the context in the right form. This is crucial to obtain the most out of these large language models. And basically, our knowledge, our ability to employ like logical language, almost sometimes I employ first order logic in giving instructions to the LLMs, just to make you understand how our theoretical background can be actually implied in real-time situations outside of academia. And so just to say that, just to show you how my let's say my work as prompt engineer actually is quite a demonstration of this bridge between theory and practice in linguistics. I can just say to you that drafting and tuning prompts in my everyday work, I constantly apply linguistic principles and theories. Some linguistic principles and theories that are very old. So just to give you an example, give me a moment, my computer froze, okay. Okay, I don't know if you are aware of these theories, if you have encountered them in your studies and so on, but as I said, in prompt engineering, you can actually see how linguists can bridge theory and practice. Why this? What makes human-machine interaction feel natural is actually the ability of the AI, not just to, let's say, understand the words, but also the intent behind them, the context has been provided, and the appropriate way to respond. So to do so, in my everyday job, I assure you, I apply linguistic theories. Also some very old ones, as I said, such as, for example, Fillmore's frame semantics. Basically, in just a few words, these theories suggest that words are understood in relation to broader contexts, or as he says, frames. These frames, these words in this context evoke like the broader context that the word must be interpreted within. And this theory, actually, we use it to instruct the model because it helps us not only designing the right questions for the model, but also to make the LLM better understand the context that the words of our instructions have on their background, and also to instruct the model to provide nuanced, context-sensitive responses, and so on. Similarly, switching to the second theory, Roche's prototype theory, this theory basically, we could say that tells that the best way to teach a concept is to show an example of it, a prototype of it. Now, we all know that these large language models are very well extracted if you provide some critical and precise examples. In this way, this theory, I read a lot about this theory to understand how I could structure my examples, or in a more technical way, few shots to instruct these models to build these prototype examples that can be reduced then at the single specific cases. And this is so crucial, so important for improving the performances of LLM. It's really a matter of like increasing the performance of 20% or 30%. It's crucial in this kind of context. And then also there are other theories such as our speech act theory. If you extract the model with this theory, the model is going to understand if your request is a request, is an order, is a question. It's going to be way more aware of the intuition, of the reason behind your instruction. And obviously, the most famous one of all, Bizi's cooperative principle. If you instruct the model on this specific theory, the model is not going to provide like information that is not relevant to the answer to your question. It's not going to provide additional info that you don't need. It's going to be really precise and give you a really nice answer. So this was just to give you an example of the fact that linguistic theory, and also a very theoretical one, these are theories that are from the 70s, some of them, a very theoretical background is really important in everyday applications, concrete applications today. So to move a little bit on, we can say that, yes, I talked about prompt engineering, but there is not also prompt engineering. In particular, you can say that as AI technology progresses from conversational systems to more advanced decision-making agents, our role as computational linguists will evolve, but our core expertise will become even more essential. Now, according to experts of the field, you read about it every day, future AI will involve advanced reasoning, decision-making, organizing complex tasks in a way that humans do. This is very important. And humans will interact more and more with AI systems, and there will be more and more need of a human-like interaction and communication. So ensuring that AI can understand and use language ethically and coherently will be more important than ever. And for this reason, we will probably be at the forefront of ensuring that AI doesn't just generate language, but does it so inclusively, unbiased. We need to ensure that the language is, for example, supporting, non-judgmental. Think about a chatbot that is used in a medical domain, in a legal domain. For example, this is an example that I always tell people. When I started just experimenting with GPT, I think each one of us did that when it go out in 2022. I asked it, how can a lawyer take, in Italian, it's not like paternity leave or maternity leave, it's just a leave for having a child. And ChatGPT just told me, a lawyer doesn't need this kind of leave. Oh, this means that the model didn't understood that a female could be a lawyer. This is not going to happen today if you ask the same question to GPT. This is just to understand how much it's really important to continue increasing the ability of these models, the safety of these models. So, but our work actually extends to adapting AI responses, for example, also different linguistic varieties. Just think about the fact that at the beginning, GPT was almost only English friendly, because I tried talking a little bit about in Italian, it was not really nice. But now we see more and more languages added and so on. Our work in this is essential. And AI can communicate naturally with users from different language backgrounds, different contexts, and so on. And so computational linguists are actually increasingly involved in various critical tasks. For example, not only prompt engineering, but also annotating data sets. You can see that this is very important. It's something that throws back actually to corpus linguistics. I remember when I was in the master, I was studying co-location, word frequencies, and so on. This is very traditional corpus linguistics. This kind of corpus linguistics is evolving thanks to large language models, and we need more and more the annotation of, as I said, unbiased and safe data sets, because these data sets are the data from which the LLM is going to draw its conclusion, is going to learn. This is so important, both for training and for evaluation. And for example, computational linguists are also instrumental in making AI-powered solution integrate with more traditional NLP approaches. So this is very important, because there is sometimes the tendency to say, okay, we are going to make everything LLM powered. We are forgetting about all we learned about NLP, all we developed, all the other techniques that we used. This is not true at all. There is the need of combining, of empowering LLMs with traditional NLP techniques, and there will be this need even more in the future. So all you have studied, it's not lost. So be safe from this point of view. For example, just to mention some techniques, name entity recognition, it's way important when using LLMs. For example, in my everyday work, I use an LLM to extract some entities, for example, dates from documents or from legal documents, like the names of the people that are involved in the cause or in the ruling and so on. But I experienced that the LLMs was actually not always reliable, not always good enough. Good. We went back and we applied name entity recognition. It's not a lost technique. It's something that we can rely on. Not everything must be LLM powered. This is really important. For example, there are other techniques like sentiment analysis, corpus linguistics, topic modeling, syntactic analysis. These are things that are going to be really important and are still going to be important. And to not forget that also computational linguists will respond to another important need. That is the fact that right now we have these very large language models that are in a way very generic. Computational linguists are going to be needed to adapt these models, to fine-tune, this is the technical term, these models to very specific contexts. The users are probably going, and the customers in the industry world are probably going to need more and more very specialized language models that are very tuned on a very specific domain and context. And this is where computational linguists play an important role. For example, I'm currently in the process of trying to fine-tuning a model, in particular, like a model, I don't know if you know Whisper, let's say, but basically a model that is going to listen to a pathological speech, a person speaking in a very pathological way, and then translate it without the normalization that is often applied by traditional models, because traditional models hear a pathological language and they just reduce it to the standard form. This is very important that for it to not happen in our context, we need a model that transcribes the pathological speech as it is. So you can see that these are really important things that we can do, and we are the people that can do that, and we are the people that industry is going to need. So this was just a brief overview. Summing up, we can say that linguistic theory provides a powerful framework for creating effective human-machine interaction. As computational linguists, we are actually uniquely equipped to move beyond the theoretical domain, applying our deep understanding towards a technology that is more human-friendly, more context-aware. We are not just researchers or theorists. Yes, we are, and we are very good in that, but we are not just that. We are as like architects of communication, or architects of the communication between human and machine. And this is so important, to have a human in the loop. This is fundamental. And we have the tools to ensure that this communication is clear, is meaningful, and is unbiased. And this is so crucial. And so as we look to the future, let's take our knowledge behind academia. If you want to stay in academia, that's totally fine, we need you. Let's take our knowledge behind academia and use it to shape actually the technology of the future. And I just want to thank you. And if you have like questions, this is really important for me to understand where are you coming from, how do you see yourself in the future? This is so nice. So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for that brilliant presentation. It was very interesting listening to you. Do we have any questions, anyone? You can raise your hand, you can ask yourself, or you can write in our messages. Fryland thanks you. So sorry for the cough. Ali Chankaya, it's been a great presentation, thank you. Yes.
Thanks.
The platform. Everybody's thanking you, Matilde. It was very clear. I like how you had the positive vibes of being a linguist in an industry, because the presentation we had last week was talking about how it was difficult for a linguist to enter the industry because there's a little bias against linguists. The industry kind of oversees linguists.
Yeah.
But what you've been speaking about is totally the opposite of what we've experienced, what we've heard of.
Yeah. No, actually,
is it easy for you to get into the industry as a linguist?
Actually, I understand where like the previous speaker was coming from, in the sense that, but it's also like, I just want to give you a little piece of advice. Often the employers don't know what we do. This is a really crucial thing. They don't know what we do, and they don't know that we could be really useful, and that we I mean, you see just a post, a job offer on LinkedIn. You never see linguists wanted. You never see computational linguists in the requirement. Yes, but if you know that that kind of job is something you can do, just apply. Because I was like, I was, for example, for the my first job as prompt engineer with a startup in Switzerland. I met the CEO of this startup at an event, and he was not understanding what I was doing. He didn't know anything about linguistics. I just spent a little bit of time explaining it. We had a lot of calls after calls after calls, and he understood that my skill set was something that he could really use in his application. And I like this shaped in a way my mindset to see, okay, it's something that is not specifically for linguists, apply anyway, because you know you can do the job and you know you can provide value. So this is something really important, but it's difficult. The most difficult thing is that even my mother doesn't know what I do. So this is like she cannot explain it. So I can understand that maybe also an employer doesn't know it. But
I guess that's the life of a linguist.
Yeah.
Nobody understands what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much. And I have to say that is a great advice. Seriously, so everybody take note. Koray has a question for us. Yes, Koray, we are with you.
Thank you, Jess. First of all, Matilde, thank you for your presentation. It was amazing. I actually have a question on the computational linguistics side you talked about earlier. I was actually wondering what other, intersection areas of linguistics that you think that we can work on with the computational linguistics, with the help of computational linguistics.
In the industry domain, or okay?
Both in academics and in the industry.
Okay, so for example, in the industry, I've said it during my presentation, but I cannot stress it enough. The need of quality data, it's impressive. It's like the most important thing you can think of. And we as I had a lot of every day I have a lot of meetings with, for example, data analysis, data engineers, and so on. But they are always so welcoming with our insights, with our expertise. It's something that they understand data as numerical ones, but these are models that are built on language. Even if they see language as in a numerical way, I mean, they are built to just predict the next word. So they are numerical in a way, but we as humans, we interact with them by language, and they are trained on linguistic data. So in these, computational linguists are fundamental. And also, as I said in my presentation, and I cannot stress this enough, also this, do not forget about the traditional techniques. Like, for example, topic modeling. Topic modeling is something that can both provide insights for the LLM, as well as it can go both ways. Like the LLM can also provide insights for topic modeling. So it's something that it's really crucial. It's important. It's a technique that we are applying constantly. So go on with these traditional computational approaches. It's important. In academia, it's quite harder, I think, because in academia, you are seen you are not. Sometimes I get this feeling. I don't know if I'm just speaking freely, but I get this feeling that you are not a theoretical linguist. You are not a computer science. what are you? What are you doing? Why I need you? You need us. Like this new technology has shown how much you need us. We are actually at the. This is why I called my presentation "Bridging the Gap Between Theory and Practice." We are actually that bridge, and people are starting to realize it. Also in academia. For example, I had a professor some time ago, a very theoretical one, a professor that studies like syntactic in a very precise way, in a very traditional way. And he was just asking me to perform with him this kind of experiments with large language models to see how, if his theories were reflected by language models and so on. So things are changing. So it's really nice. It's an evolution.
Thank you for the answer. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a question from Ali-Chan Kaya. As someone from the field, though more academically oriented, I find creating a strong portfolio as a programmer is quite important in establishing a name in the industry as a computational linguist. Would you have any tips for beginners in doing so?
Okay, yes. This is a great question because thinking, like if I could go back, I would have started programming or at least trying to do so since day one of my master. Not my bachelor because I was doing ancient literature by the time. So yeah, programming wasn't really in my thought, in my dreams even. But yeah, since the starting of my master, I would start programming. And just to give an advice, for example, the first language I would learn, it's Python, because it's the language that we as computational linguists use more, and it's more useful for us. And it's also like the easier one to understand, even if it allows you to do some complex things. So it's nice. And as a piece of advice, I would say, do not follow that many courses, do not read that many things and documentation on programming. Just start doing something. Like start from a very simple problem, from, I don't know, you found a lot of exercises online, take an exercise, try it out. If it doesn't work, then you search on Stack Overflow, you ask Claude, for example, Claude 3.5 can become your best like code helper. You push your solution, you ask for fixes, it provides you fixes, and you go again. Don't I spent a lot of time reading also books. I don't know, it's really strange to read books about a programming language. I did that. The best thing is starting doing like something of your own. And in a week, you can build a calculator, you can build, I don't know, really nice things. So, yeah. But start as soon as you can. Huh?
Great, thank you. So, all hands in, guys. No reading. Ali-chan says, great advice. I agree that when it comes to programming, the simpler the better sometimes. Thank you very much for your insightful answer. And Tahir Josh Gunnar says it was a great question, and we all agree, I think. Yeah. It was a great question. And Tahir says that I find myself jumping from one documentation to another constantly, and it stops the progress for sure. Yeah. And he agrees with you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's better to get all hands in and maybe keep reading on the side. But yeah. Yes, do we have any more questions, anyone? Dilbilim, thank you once again for accepting our invitation and joining us. It was a very informative presentation. We would love to stay in touch in the future as well. Yes, for further presentations, we are always open. We would love to hear you again.
Okay, yeah, it would be a pleasure for me as well, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? If not, then we can slowly wrap up. Okay, then I'm wrapping up. Thank you everyone for joining us today, watching us, and thank you for those who do watch this video on YouTube later on. I hope it's been very insightful. I know it's been very informative, seriously. I enjoyed listening to it, even though I'm very, very far away from computational linguistics. When you say technology, wow, it scares the life out of me. So it was very fun. I understood everything. And it was really good. Thank you very much, Matilde. Seriously, it was a joy having you here with us. It was great listening to you. Thank you for sharing. And like Frelin said, our door is always open to you. We'd always love to see you, hear you again, watch you again. And for everyone who has helped us out in the team, thank you very much for all your efforts. It was great being here. Thank you again. Hope to see you guys in our next presentation.
Thank you, guys. Ciao.
Ciao.